Evan was just finishing his work for the day when he saw something strange in the forest. The sun was almost gone and the sky was turning orange. He was closing the gate of his family farm when he noticed movement behind the tall trees. At first, he thought it might be an animal, but then he heard a soft, shaky sound, almost like a cry. He walked closer, careful and slow. The air felt colder. He pushed aside a few branches and found a small shape curled up on the ground. It was a child, but not a human child. The little one had pale blue skin and soft glowing lines running across the arms and face. The eyes were bright silver, and the child was trembling hard, like someone who had been running for a long time. The clothes were torn, and the small hands were clutching a broken pendant. Evan froze. He had never seen an alien before, not this close. His town was quiet and simple, far from any big spaceports. There were stories about strange ships passing by, but never anything like this. The alien child looked up at him with fear. When Evan stepped closer, the child pulled back and pressed against a tree, shaking harder. "It's okay," Evan said softly. He kept his voice gentle, like he was talking to a scared animal. "I won't hurt you." The child blinked, confused. Then, in broken human words, the child whispered, "Help, please." That one small word hit Evan's heart like a hammer. This wasn't a monster or a threat. It was just a kid, small, lost, and scared. He slowly offered his hand. The child stared at it for a long moment, then reached out with trembling fingers. The hand felt warm and light, almost delicate. "What's your name?" Evan asked. "Tiri," the child said in a shaky voice. Evan nodded. "I'm Evan. You're safe now." He took off his jacket and wrapped it around Tiri. The child didn't resist. Tiri looked tired, maybe even hurt. Evan noticed the soft glow on Tiri's skin flicker weakly, as if the child was losing strength. He lifted Tiri carefully. The child was lighter than he expected, almost weightless. Evan carried Tiri back toward the farm. As they reached the fence, he kept looking around, half expecting someone or something to be following them, but the forest stayed quiet. He took Tiri into the barn where the air was warm and soft hay covered the ground. He set the child down on a blanket and brought water and bread. Tiri ate slowly, like someone who hadn't eaten in days. "Who were you running from?" Evan asked gently. Tiri lowered the head. "Bad people," the child whispered. "They want me, take me back." "Why?" Evan asked, but Tiri only shook the head and held the broken pendant tighter. Evan didn't push. Clearly, the child didn't want to speak about it. A cold wind blew outside, making the barn doors creak. Evan shut the doors and checked the shadows again. Something felt strange. Tiri hadn't come from any nearby town or ship, and the glowing lines on the child's skin looked like something rare, something important. But he pushed the thought away. He didn't need answers right now. The only thing that mattered was keeping Tiri safe. "I'll keep watch," Evan said. "You can sleep." Tiri curled up under the blanket and slowly closed the eyes. The glowing lines dimmed softly like fading stars. Evan sat on a wooden box near the door. He felt nervous, but also strangely calm. Helping the child felt right, even if he didn't understand the danger yet. The night grew darker. The wind quieted. Evan was almost relaxed when he saw a flash in the sky. A bright streak of silver light cut across the darkness, silent but fast. Then another. Evan stood up, heart beating faster. These were not shooting stars. They moved too straight, too controlled. They looked like ships, but not human ships. Evan stepped outside the barn and stared at the sky. 3 distant lights were moving slowly, scanning the land below. They glowed faintly blue, the same color as Tiri's skin. A chill ran through him. They were searching for something, searching for someone. He looked back at the barn door, where Tiri slept without a clue of what might be coming. Evan swallowed hard. He didn't know who the bad people were. He didn't know why Tiri had run away, or why those strange ships were flying so low above the forest. But he knew one thing for sure. Whatever was happening, it had already reached his doorstep. And Tiri's simple plea, "Help, please," had pulled him into something far bigger than he had ever imagined. Evan woke before sunrise. The barn was quiet except for Tiri's soft breathing. The glowing lines on the child's skin flickered gently, brighter than the night before. It was almost peaceful, until Evan remembered the ships he had seen in the sky. He opened the barn door a little and looked outside. The forest was calm, but he couldn't relax. Somewhere out there, someone was looking for Tiri. Someone dangerous. When he turned back, Tiri was awake, sitting up and clutching the broken pendant tightly. The child looked scared, like they already knew something was wrong. "Evan," Tiri whispered, "they are here." Evan nodded slowly. "Yeah, I saw the ships last night. Who are they? Why are they chasing you?" Tiri looked down, the silver eyes full of fear. "They are soldiers of my people," the child said in a quiet voice. "They want to take me back." "But why?" Evan asked. "You're just a kid." Tiri shook the head. "Not just kid. I am important." The glowing lines on Tiri's skin pulsed once, like the child's body responded to fear. Evan knelt beside Tiri. "Important how?" "You can trust me." Tiri hesitated. The child took a deep breath, the way someone does when they are about to say something big. "I am heir to the Oran Empire," Tiri whispered. "My father is the emperor." Evan blinked. He thought he heard wrong. "Your royalty?" Tiri nodded. "Yes. I ran away because they wanted to take power soon. My father is sick. Many want the throne. But I am not ready. They want to control me. Use me." Evan tried to understand it, but it felt unreal. A small glowing child sitting in his barn was the next ruler of an alien empire, but the fear in Tiri's eyes was real. The trembling hands, the broken pendant, everything suddenly made sense. "So they want to take you back and force you to be emperor?" Evan asked. "Not force," Tiri said softly. "They want control. If I wear a crown, they rule behind me. I am just symbol." Evan sat down on the hay beside Tiri. "That's a lot for a kid to handle." Tiri looked at him with tired eyes. "I just wanted to see stars. See other worlds. Learn. Be free for a little time. But they found out. They sent hunters. And those were the ships I saw last night," Evan said. Tiri nodded again. "If they find me, they take me. They punish you." Evan felt a cold chill. "Punish me? For helping you?" "In their law," Tiri whispered. "Helping an Oran royal run away is crime." Evan rubbed his head. He didn't know much about aliens or emperors, but he knew one thing. Tiri needed someone. Maybe he wasn't strong like the alien soldiers or powerful like emperors, but he wasn't going to abandon a scared kid. Suddenly, a soft humming noise filled the air. Tiri jumped up, frightened. Evan stood and opened the barn window, just enough to look outside. A small drone floated above the trees, scanning the ground with a blue beam. "They are close," Tiri said, voice shaking. "Very close." Evan thought quickly. The barn was too open. The house was too visible. The forest might help hide them, but only for a while. He turned to Tiri. "Is there any way to stop them from tracking you?" Tiri looked at the pendant in their hands. "Only this. It was protection device. It hides me from their machines. But it is broken." Evan studied it. It was a small crystal shard inside a silver frame. A crack ran through the center. "I can try to fix it," Evan said. Tiri stared at him with wide eyes. "You can fix Oran tech?" "I fix farm machines all the time," Evan said. "This can't be too different, right?" Actually, it was probably much, much harder, but he had to try. He took the pendant to the workbench in the corner of the barn. Tools lay everywhere, pliers, wires, old screws. None of it was made for alien technology, but he still worked carefully. Tiri watched nervously. At times, the child shook with fear whenever the drone hummed closer outside. Evan used a small flashlight to look inside the pendant. Most of it made no sense to him. Thin lines of light ran through tiny metal shapes. But near the crack, he noticed something loose, something not connecting the way it should. He used a thin piece of wire to press it back in place. The pendant sparked. Tiri gasped. Evan almost dropped it, but the spark stopped quickly. Then the pendant glowed softly, just like Tiri's skin. "It works," Tiri whispered. Evan, you fixed it. The glow grew brighter before settling into a calm light. Suddenly, the hum outside faded. The drone passed over barn without slowing down. It didn't see them. It didn't scan inside. Tiri let out a shaky breath. They cannot find me. Not now. Evan handed the pendant back. Good. That buys us time. Tiri looked at him with something new. Trust, deep and strong. No one has helped me like this, Tiri said quietly. Not even in my palace. Evan smiled weakly. Well, you're not in a palace anymore. You're in my barn, and I'm not letting anyone take you. The child nodded, holding the glowing pendant close. Outside, the drones continued searching, unaware they had passed right over the most important child in the galaxy. Inside the barn, Evan and Tiri sat together, one human farmer, one alien heir, connected by a simple act of kindness. Neither of them knew that this small choice would soon bring an entire empire to Evan's front gate. By late afternoon, the sky above Evan's farm no longer looked normal. The clouds had formed strange lines, too straight to be natural. Birds were gone. The air felt heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Tiri stood near the barn door, holding the glowing pendant close to their chest. The faint light from it flickered nervously. They are coming, the child whispered. Evan rested a hand on Tiri's shoulder. We'll face it together. He didn't know how. He didn't have weapons. He didn't have a plan. But he wasn't going to run. A deep hum filled the sky. Evan stepped outside and looked up. 3 dark shapes broke through the clouds, sleek, sharp alien dropships, each glowing with blue energy. They moved slowly, like giant birds circling prey. Tiri's face went pale. Those are royal spear ships. The Emperor only sends them for important missions. Evan swallowed hard. And you think they're here for you? Tiri nodded. Yes. They come for a royal heir and for one who helped them. The dropships descended, kicking up dust and shaking the ground. Evan shielded Tiri as the wind blasted across the yard. The barn creaked. The trees bent. The earth trembled as the first ship landed in his wheat field, crushing rows of crops under its weight. A ramp opened. Tall soldiers in blue and silver armor marched out. Their glowing visors scanned everything. The house, the barn, the ground. Each one carried a long staff-like weapon humming with energy. One soldier stepped forward. Clearly the commander. The markings on his armor were brighter than the others. Human resident. The commander called out, voice deep and metallic. You are ordered to step forward. Evan took a breath and stepped away from the barn. Tiri hid behind the wooden wall, trembling. The commander's visor glowed brighter. Whereas the Oran Evan kept his voice steady. There's no one like that here. The commander tilted his head slightly. Our scouts tracked a royal energy signal to this place. Evan tried to stay calm. Your scouts must have made a mistake. The commander raised a hand. 2 soldiers marched toward the barn. Inside, Tiri squeezed her eyes shut. Evan's heart hammered. He knew he had seconds, maybe less, before they found the child. The soldiers reached the barn door. But just as one soldier pulled it open, something unexpected happened. Tiri's pendant glowed brightly, stronger than before. A wave of soft blue light passed across the barn, across the yard, across everything. The soldiers froze. Their visors flickered, confused. They stepped inside but moved slowly, as if unsure what they were seeing. They cannot detect me, Tiri whispered. You fixed the pendant too well. The commander turned toward the barn, visor glowing brighter as he tried to scan again. Nothing. No signal. He stepped closer to Evan instead. You are hiding something, the commander said. Evan forced a shrug. I hide a lot of things, mostly broken tools. The commander didn't appreciate the joke. He lifted his staff. The tip glowed dangerously. Human, the penalty for interfering with royal matters is severe. Evan didn't flinch. I told you, I don't know anything about a royal. The commander stared at him for a long moment. Then he lowered his weapon slightly. If the heir is here, we will find him, the commander said. Be warned. He turned and gave a hand signal. The soldiers spread out across the farm, scanning every corner, every fence, every patch of soil. Evan stayed near the barn, blocking their path as best he could, without looking suspicious. Inside, Terry watched through a crack in the wood, shaking with fear. Each time a soldier passed close, Terry held the pendant tighter. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the commander returned. We found no trace. The air must have escaped this area. Evan kept his face still, even though he wanted to collapse with relief. The commander lifted a glowing device. A map appeared in the air, Earth, with sections marked red. All squads, the commander said into the communicator. Expand the search perimeter. The air is still planetside. The soldiers marched back into their ships. Engines roared. Blue light filled the fields again. Dust swirled into the air as the ships lifted off. Terry stepped out of the barn as the ships disappeared into the sky. The child's eyes were wet with tears. You protected me, Terry whispered, even when it was dangerous for you. Evan knelt beside the child. You're just a kid who needed help. That's all. Terry shook their head. No, I am heir to an empire. Helping me could destroy your life. Evan put a hand on Terry's shoulder. I don't care about empires. I care about you. Terry looked at him the way someone looks at a miracle. Evan glanced up at the sky. The ships were gone, but their arrival meant something clear and terrifying. They would be back. And next time, it would be worse. The next morning, the world felt too quiet. Birds still hadn't returned. The wind barely moved. Evan stood on his porch with a cup of cold coffee, staring at the sky like he expected it to open again. Inside the house, Terry sat at the table, hands wrapped around a glowing pendant. The child looked tired, too tired for someone so young. They will come again, Terry whispered. The soldiers cannot find me, so now he will come. Evan turned. Who? Terry's voice shook. My father, the Emperor. Before Evan could answer, he felt it, a deep vibration under his feet, like a faraway thunderstorm. The windows rattled softly. The cups on the shelf trembled. Evan stepped outside again. A low cloud layer spread across the sky, glowing from underneath. Blue light flickered within it. Then the light grew brighter, until a massive shadow appeared behind the clouds. Terry joined him on the porch and gasped. A ship. No, something bigger than any ship Evan had ever imagined. Slowly pushed through the clouds. It was shaped like a crescent moon, wider than the entire town, glowing with gold and blue energy. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal. That's not a ship, Evan whispered. Terry nodded weakly. It is the Imperial Crown Carrier. Only the Emperor travels in it. As the enormous vessel hovered above the fields, the air pressure changed. The wind whipped through Evan's hair. Dust spiraled. The entire world felt smaller, crushed under its presence. A beam of soft, golden light reached toward the ground, touching the field in front of the house. The wheat bent under the weight of the energy. Then a figure stepped out of the light. He was tall, taller than any human, with a long royal cloak that flowed like liquid fire. His armor glowed silver and gold. His eyes, bright and sharp, scanned the area as if nothing could hide from him. Terry gripped Evan's sleeve. That is Emperor Kale. My father. Evan swallowed hard. He doesn't look friendly. Kale's boots touched the ground, and the golden light faded. Behind him, 10 elite guards stepped out, forming a perfect formation. Their armor looked different from the soldiers before. Heavier, stronger, more dangerous. The Emperor finally looked toward the house. Terry, he said, voice deep enough to shake the air. Come to me. Terry froze. Evan stepped slightly in front of the child. He didn't plan to fight, but something inside him refused to move aside. Wait, Evan said, trying to keep his voice steady. The kid scared. Let's talk. The Emperor's eyes shifted to him. They were cold, unreadable. Human, step away. The air belongs with me. Evan didn't move. Terry came here injured and alone. I helped them. I protected them. At least give the kid a moment. One of the guards stepped forward, raising a weapon, but the Emperor lifted a hand, stopping him. Kale studied Evan, as if he were examining something rare. No human speaks to me like this. Evan shrugged. Maybe you don't meet the right humans. For a moment, the Emperor said nothing. The wind blew through the fields. The giant ship hummed above them, like an angry moon. Then Kale's gaze softened just slightly. "Tiri," he said again, turning toward the child. "Why did you run from the palace?" Tiri stepped out from behind Evan. Their voice trembled. "I was lonely. Everyone treated me like a symbol, not a person. I only wanted one day to be normal." The Emperor's expression changed. A crack appeared in his cold mask. "You could have died." "I almost did," Tiri whispered, touching their pendant. "But he saved me." The Emperor looked at Evan again. "You sheltered the air," Kale said. "You defied my soldiers. You risked your life for a child who was nothing to you." Evan didn't step back. "They're not nothing to me." The Emperor walked closer until he stood just a few feet away. His presence was overwhelming. Evan felt like he was staring up at a mountain. "Human," Kale said, "you know that protecting a royal heir is a crime in most worlds?" Evan nodded slowly. "Maybe. Doesn't matter to me." "Why?" the Emperor asked. Evan paused and said, "Because kindness isn't a crime where I come from." For the first time, the Emperor seemed unsure how to respond. His gaze fell to Tiri, who looked up with hope. "Father, please do not punish him." Kale stepped back. The wind moved gently again. The giant ship hummed softly above them. "I did not come here to punish," the Emperor said at last. "I came to understand." He looked around the simple farm, the barn, the old house, the table on the porch. "You protected what is most precious to me," he continued. "And for that, I owe you a debt." Evan blinked. "A debt?" The Emperor nodded once. "Yes, and I repay all debts." Before Evan could ask what that meant, Kale lifted his hand. The golden beam returned, growing brighter and brighter until the entire field glowed like sunrise. "Prepare," Kale said softly. "Your life is about to change." The golden light faded, and Evan looked around in confusion. His farm was gone, not destroyed, but replaced. The house, the barn, the fields, everything had been moved. He stood now inside a massive hall made of shining crystal and silver metal. The walls curved like waves, glowing softly with blue energy. Strange symbols floated in the air, moving like fireflies. Tiri stood beside him, eyes wide. This is a heart palace." Evan swallowed. "Your home." Tiri nodded. "The center of the empire." Evan turned slowly, overwhelmed. The ceiling stretched so high that clouds formed near it. Floating platforms moved gently across open air. Creatures of many species walked in the halls, bowing as the Emperor passed. Kale walked ahead of them, his cloak glowing brighter in the palace light. His elite guards followed silently. Everyone who saw him immediately knelt. Evan felt out of place. He was wearing old jeans and a dirt-stained shirt inside the most advanced place in the galaxy. Tiri tugged his sleeve. "Don't worry. You are safe here." Evan wasn't so sure. Kale stopped in front of two massive doors. They opened without being touched, revealing the Imperial Chamber, a room so bright it felt like standing inside a star. A long balcony stretched out over the planet below. Blue oceans, glowing cities, and giant rings filled the sky. Evan stepped forward slowly. "This is unreal." Kale turned to him. "Evan Steele, you changed the fate of the royal heir. You changed the fate of my bloodline." Evan shifted awkwardly. "I just tried to help a kid." Kale shook his head. "No, you did what none of my advisors, generals, or nobles could do. You gave the heir something priceless." Evan frowned. "What?" Tiri smiled softly. "Kindness." The Emperor walked to the edge of the balcony. For centuries, humans have been viewed as weaker, simpler, unimportant in this galaxy. His voice echoed through the chamber. "Yet you, a simple farmer, did what great warriors could not." Evan didn't know what to say. Kale continued. "The Empire is strong, but it has grown cold, cruel, blind. Your actions open my eyes." He turned toward Evan, his expression serious. "You reminded me that strength does not come only from power. It also comes from compassion." Evan scratched the back of his neck. I guess that's good." Tiri laughed. "It is more than good. Father has not said words like this in years. Kale lifted a hand, and the chamber lights dimmed. A hologram rose in the air, an image of Evan standing protectively in front of Tiri during the soldiers' attack. The guards, the fear, the bravery, all captured from Imperial drones. This recording, Kale said, has been shared across the Empire. Billions have watched a human defend our air with no weapon, no armor, no reward. Evan's stomach flipped. People saw that? Kale nodded. And because of it, the Empire has changed. Evan blinked. Change how? Kale looked out at the planet again. Laws have been rewritten. Treatment of weaker species is being reevaluated. Military discipline has been strengthened. Old policies of cruelty are being challenged. He turned back to Evan, all because of one human. Evan felt breathless. He had never aimed to change anything. He just wanted to protect a scared child. Tiri stepped forward and took Evan's hand. You changed me, too. You taught me how to trust, how to be brave without anger, how to care. Evan knelt so he could look Tiri in the eyes. You're strong, kid. Stronger than you know. Kale nodded approvingly. And because of all this, I offer you a choice. The room went completely silent. Even the guards looked uncertain. Kale raised his hand, revealing two objects floating in the air. In his left hand was a glowing blue pass, shaped like a small star. This is the Imperial Guardian Seal. Kale said, with it, you will become protector of the royal heir, wealth, honor, and status beyond imagination. In his right hand was a smaller object, a silver ring with a tiny blue gem. And this ring, he said, will open a warp gate that takes you home, back to your old life, untouched, unchanged. Evan stared at the objects. He felt pressure in his chest. Everything he knew, his quiet life, his small farm, felt very far away now. Tiri stepped closer. I want you to stay, but I will understand if you need to go. Evan took a deep breath. He looked at Tiri, the frightened child he protected, who now stood tall with newfound courage. He looked at the Emperor, the ruler who had been changed by witnessing simple human kindness. He looked at the galaxy through the balcony, beautiful, endless, full of unknown wonders. Slowly, Evan reached out. Kale smiled. Tiri's eyes shone with hope, and the Empire prepared to change forever because of one humble, stubborn human who refused to walk away.